Imagine a castle so enchanting that Walt Disney himself is believed to have used it as inspiration for the iconic Cinderella's castle. A fortress that rises dramatically from a rocky cliff, shaped almost like the bow of a mighty ship. A place where kings plotted wars, queens signed royal decrees, and secret chambers whispered stories of betrayal and ambition. This isn't a scene from a fairy tale, it's the Alcázar of Segovia in Spain, one of the most breathtaking castles in Europe, and a symbol of centuries of power, romance, and legend. The Alcázar of Segovia sits proudly above the confluence of two rivers, the Eresma and the Clamores, on a rocky crag in central Spain. From a distance, the castle seems almost to float above the landscape, its pointed turrets and steep slate roofs piercing the sky. Unlike many medieval castles that are squat and square, the Alcázar's ship-like form makes it unique. It looks ready to set sail through the rolling hills of Castile. Visitors who first approach are struck by the fairy tale charm, tall towers, drawbridges, a golden sandstone exterior that glows in the Spanish sun. But beneath that beauty lies a history both glorious and violent. The Alcázar's story begins in Roman times, when the site was likely used as a fortress. Its strategic location made it an ideal defensive point, controlling the valleys and trade routes of the region. But it wasn't until the 12th century, under the reign of King Alfonso VI of Castile, that the castle began to take its recognizable shape. At first it was a modest fort, built mainly of wood. Over centuries, as wars raged and dynasties rose, it transformed into a magnificent royal palace. By the 13th and 14th centuries, the Alcázar had become one of the favored residences of Castilian monarchs. Few castles in Europe can claim such a close connection to royalty. Kings lived here, councils were held here, and Spain's destiny was shaped within its walls. One of the most famous moments came in 1474. After the death of her brother, Queen Isabella of Castile proclaimed herself queen inside the Alcázar. From these halls began her reign, which together with Ferdinand of Aragon led to the unification of Spain and the funding of Christopher Columbus's voyage to the New World. In many ways, the global history we know today, exploration, colonization, and the rise of Spain as a world power, was influenced by decisions made inside these very walls. The Alcázar wasn't just a royal home, it was also a military fortress, a symbol of might. From its towers, guards watched for invaders, while within its chambers, strategies for war against the Moors were debated. One of the most captivating aspects of the Alcázar is its architecture. Unlike many fortresses designed purely for defense, this castle blends military strength with artistic elegance. The castle's exterior reflects a mix of Romanesque and Gothic styles, with later additions of Mudejar influence from Islamic Spain. The tall turrets, pointed spires, and slender slate roofs are distinctly different from the flat-roofed castles of Central Europe. Inside, the beauty only deepens. The Hall of the Kings, for example, features a wooden ceiling carved with intricate detail, decorated with statues of every monarch who once ruled Castile. The throne room dazzles with its Gothic windows and heraldic symbols. Then there's the Hall of the Galley, with its long vaulted ceiling resembling the hull of a ship, perhaps a nod to the castle's ship-like silhouette. But one of the most famous features is the Tower of John II. Climbing its 156 steps rewards visitors with a breathtaking view of the surrounding countryside, the city of Segovia and beyond. From up there, it's easy to see why the site was chosen. You can spot enemies from miles away. Every great castle has its share of legends, and the Alcázar is no exception. One tale speaks of secret tunnels that supposedly connected the fortress to other parts of the city, used by kings and soldiers during sieges. Another legend whispers that Isabella, before proclaiming herself queen, prayed in the castle's chapel for guidance, and believed her destiny was sealed within its walls. The Alcázar has also been tied to more romantic associations. Some historians suggest that its fairy tale appearance influenced not only Walt Disney's Cinderella castle, but also Sleeping Beauty's castle in Disneyland Paris. Whether true or not, standing before its towers does feel like stepping into a storybook. But beauty does not shield from violence. The Alcázar has witnessed its share of bloodshed. During the revolt of the Comuneros in the early 16th century, rebels besieged Segovia, and the Alcázar stood as a bastion of royal authority. Later, in 1862, a devastating fire destroyed much of the interior. For decades, the castle stood damaged, its treasures lost. Restoration efforts in the 19th and 20th centuries brought it back to life, carefully preserving the grandeur while respecting historical accuracy. Today, much of what visitors see is both original and restored, a living blend of history and reconstruction. Over time, the Alcázar's role shifted. No longer the primary royal residence, it found new life as a prison, then as a royal artillery school. In fact, the castle was the site of Spain's first military academy in the 18th century, training generations of officers. This dual identity, both fairytale palace and stern military academy, makes the Alcázar unlike any other European castle. Today, the Alcázar is a museum and one of Spain's most visited monuments. Tourists come from across the world to walk its halls, climb its towers, and imagine the lives of those who once ruled from its chambers. The castle also houses the General Military Archive of Segovia, keeping alive its long tradition of military significance. For the city of Segovia, the Alcázar is more than a landmark. It is the beating heart of its identity. Together with the Roman aqueduct and the Gothic cathedral, it forms a trio of monuments that make Segovia a UNESCO World Heritage Site. What makes the Alcázar so compelling isn't just its history or beauty, it's the way it bridges worlds. It is both fortress and palace, both historical and fairy tale-like. It embodies the blending of cultures that shaped Spain: Christian, Islamic, Gothic, and Renaissance. It has been a stage for royal power, military training, and even pop culture influence. Perhaps that's why it continues to capture imaginations today. For artists, it's a subject of inspiration. For historians, it's a treasure trove of stories. And for travelers, it's a chance to step into a living fairy tale, one made of stone, fire, and centuries of human ambition. From a Roman outpost to a royal palace, from a military academy to a global icon, the Alcázar of Segovia stands as one of the greatest castles in Europe. A fortress shaped like a ship, sailing not across oceans, but through history itself, carrying with it the legends of kings, queens, and the very soul of Spain.